Every damn day.
Hello, everyone. It's Sherry at the Fledge, and welcome to another episode of Every Damn Day. And today we've got our great friend Nick Leydorf here with us, and we're going to talk about law and comedy and an album he's got going on, and a bunch of other things probably. How you doing, Nick?
Hey, great. Thanks, Jerry. Good to see you again, man.
It's good to see you too. I think last year we talked less about comedy and more about estate law and preparing for things and generational wealth. It was a great conversation. Actually, one of the most viewed shows of season 1.
Nice.
I don't know if you knew that or not.
No, I didn't. That's great. Yeah.
But today we're gonna, talk about whatever you want but I think lean towards the comedy side and the work you're doing there. So, how does someone get to a point where comedy and law are like the two things they do?
Yeah. So, not to get like existential, but maybe we can. But like, I think I became a lawyer for the wrong reasons. I wanted to get out of the situation I was in growing up. I didn't have a lot of money. I saw like education as a way to do that. I didn't want to be a doctor, so I was like, the only other thing that you ever hear about is like a lawyer. So I was like, well, just do that. And my path wasn't for me. It's not who I am. It's not who I don't like fighting with people. I don't like, I can do that. I suffered through doing that for about 15 years of my life. And, as I've gotten older, I want to live to, as long as I can. And doing law, it was just killing me. It really was. And along the way, somebody signed me up for an open mic because I'd always been like a funny person, but I always just buried that, because it's like, who's going to be a lawyer who wants to, you can't do funny, creative things if you're a lawyer. All these stereotypes. And then I just woke up and I was like, I'm somebody else's life. This isn't the life that I want. And I'd always been funny, wanted to make people laugh. And just started doing it like 10 years ago. It will be 10 years ago this July. And I did an open mic at Sir Pizza over in Old Town. And I did it for the first time and I just absolutely loved it. And it made me feel, alive and I just I love everything about it. And it just kind of, I've been leaving these parallel lives for a while. But as I'm kind of, becoming more in control of my own life and like how, my time and how valuable that is, I just learned that like, I want to be my authentic self and that's kind of making people laugh and doing dumb things is more me than the lawyer part of it. The lawyer part's a part of me. But I really enjoy creating and making people laugh. And so, that's kind of how it all started. It's just kind of an evolution of me. Just learning who I am and trying to express that as best I can. So that's kind of how that all started, and here I am. So
on your Facebook page, I'll see on your feed from time to time you'll genericize everything, so you're not violating anything, but you get some pretty good material, from the courtroom.
I do, and like I think it, it's always just like write who you are. And like, there's like this, like, I'm from the Midwest, so I'm like that nice exterior, but then there's always this like bubbling beneath the surface, like this kind of just like angst of me, like, dealing with just crazy situations. And like, it needed its way out. And that's kind of what started all of it like 10 years ago. Is just like, this is insane. What is happening right now is crazy. Either if it's another lawyer, or if it's a judge saying stupid things like, so, and like demystifying the whole lawyer thing is kind of what I like to do as well. Like, people think of lawyers as just being very, stuck up, kind of like in suits all the time. And they're just people, and like, you can have good people, you can have bad people. And, and same thing with judges. They wear a robe, we stand up when they come in the courtroom, but some of them are smart, some of them are not. And, and it's just kind of like that speaking truth to power kind of a thing that I like about comedy, because like I work for myself, so you can't fire me. So like, you can I can say whatever I want, and that's what I like to do. But yeah, I do kind of the Facebook posts and like social media, it's just like how do I get this out? Because it's just insane. Like, how,
Do you have a TikTok too? I think you do,
yeah,
right?
I just started. It's interesting. I'm trying to do more things with that. Kind of learning what my niche is going to be on that. And, being an old bald white guy, that's hard. It's hard out there on TikTok. It's not, I don't know. I just gotta rely on my personality, and that's hard sometimes. but yeah, I'm working on it, and but that's fun. I like doing that because I like reacting to things, like watching things that are just crazy on there. There's a lot of crazy stuff in this world, and gotta laugh at it.
I remember last year about the time we did the show, I think you had shared the "I'm Not a Cat" video.
Oh yeah, that was wild. That was so wild. Just watching that guy like with the filter that somebody left on his Zoom, and it's so perfect with like where we were at in that period of time where like you're mixing like a lockdown pandemic, but then also technology, and then also like an older lawyer that doesn't know what's going on and how to fix it, and then him just saying, Your Honor, I am not a cat. That just blew my mind, Yeah.
Do you ever like keep a list of all the things where you're like advising your client and you're like, don't say that in court, and then you have to write it down?
Yeah, I do. I got notebooks of stuff. And that's kind of the culmination of 10 years is like this album that I'm working on, and like all this material that it's kind of working its way into it. And I like my a lot of the stuff I was doing in criminal defense and like litigation and fighting with other people, I'm getting away from that. We talked about that last year with estate planning, but it's like I like these people. I find them, everyone has something about them that we're all human. We make mistakes. There's that lovable part about each and every one of us, but some people do some really dumb stuff. And if we can make fun of it so other people don't do it, that's kind of one of my missions with kind of bringing light to some of these things. Cause like, we got to stop being so stupid sometimes.
Do you have any story you can share with us, or do you want to stay away from that?
No, that's fine. I was in front of a judge one time, and it was a client was charged with possession of cocaine, and the judge asked my client, he's like, "Sir, I got to ask you, did you have a prescription for the cocaine?" And I was just completely, I was like, what is happening right now? Like, no, it's 2019. It's not 1819. We don't have prescriptions for cocaine. If you have a prescription for cocaine, Judge, who is your doctor? I want to know who that is. That is don't go to Walgreens and get a prescription and walk out with an 8-ball. That's not what happens. So stuff like that. Just weird things. Like I went to court one time, and there was an Amish guy in there, and I grew up around like Amish people and stuff, and I was like, I didn't see a horse and buggy outside. I don't know how he got there. And it like if an Amish person went to court, like something bad has happened, because it's not like a traffic ticket or anything. You don't get a DUI on a horse and buggy. And so he was just there, and then he just got up and left, and I just realized that was his entertainment, is watching us just act like idiots in court. Like, that's Judge Judy for him, is just watching people in court do dumb things. So yeah, I mean, just weird stuff like that. It's crazy, watching DUI videos. I don't like we need to learn from, we make mistakes, but we learn from it. Like, I've seen so many people just say so many dumb things, like in a DUI video, like Miranda warnings. Some guy thought it was about his girlfriend. He's like, I dated her. You don't need to tell me about her. I know I know who Miranda is. Like, all right, that's just funny. Just stuff like that, and yeah, just some of the crazy things that people do. But like, I love these people, like the people, I like them. It's funny to me. If I did something dumb too, I would want somebody to make fun of it, so
I'm sure you've got enough friends that would do that too.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Yep.
So I grew up like in the 70s and 80s. So, you could watch Richard Pryor or something on TV. But but stand up was really on albums. So when you're saying you're going to make an album, I think back on Richard Pryor, and I
Yeah.
think of Cheech and Chong's albums.
Yep.
Are you really going to make vinyl?
Yeah. So, well, that's the plan. Is I want to do I want to release it on vinyl at some point. But yeah, it's changed a lot. It used to be an album meant an album, and then it meant like a CD, and so now it's going to be audio recorded and video recorded. So we're going to cut it together and make kind of a special, and then try and submit it to wherever we can get it submitted to, and then also do download recording, download. I'm probably not going to do a CD. If I do, maybe just a little bit of them, just because no one has a CD player anymore. So be like download cards. But I also want to have a physical album of it too, just so I can have that. So yeah.
Will the videos be comment, or you doing stand up and it's kind of blended in with that, or will it be like skits or?
Oh yeah, so it's gonna be like yeah, that would be great. I would love to do that. They don't do those anymore, but Adam Sandler used to do those skit videos. That was one of the first things I ever listened to, other than like Bill Cosby growing up on vinyl and stuff. But yeah, it's not gonna be skits. It's just gonna be straight stand up. So I'm gonna do stand up for 50 minutes, an hour. It's kind of what I got planned, and then we'll cut it all together. And we've got 2 shows at the Robin Theater on April 30th, and the first one sold out. Nice. Yeah, I'm super. It was within 2 weeks, it just sold out, and I was just so grateful. Putting out things and doing creative things. It's always one of those things. Is anyone going to come? And so I was just grateful that the people bought the tickets first, and then we're doing a second show, so we're working on selling that out too. So yeah, it's just been great. And so yeah, it's going to be straight stand up, and then putting it together in a audio video format too, where we'll cut that together with some stuff done ahead of time. And yeah, I got some great guys working on the project with me. Nate Armbruster is doing the audio, who's done a lot of audio recordings for comedians, getting those submitted to Sirius XM. That's kind of the goal for me with the audio recording part of it. And then also Zach Burkar, who's a friend of mine. He does amazing video capture and editing, and he's a great, super creative guy. So I'm excited to have them on the project, and they're looking forward to it. So now it's just up to me. There's no excuses now. We got an audience and great people to collect everything, and now I just got to make sure I'm on that night. So
will that be cut into tracks where you could listen to a particular? Oh yeah.
Yep. So we're gonna cut it together. I'm gonna leave that stuff to Nate. So Nate's gonna do the editing. I've listened to a bunch of his stuff that he's done with comedy albums, and he knows how to group the tracks in such a way that it's gonna make it easier to find online, and be for submission ready and things like that. So yeah, I'm excited about it. It's been a long time. It was supposed to happen a couple of years ago, but then everything fell apart, and luckily, fingers crossed, everything's gonna be okay, and we're gonna be able to do it finally. But it gave me another couple of years to get some more jokes and get everything else under my belt. So
you guys used to play a show. Was it once a month or once a week at Crunchies?
Oh yeah, so every week we used to do that. Really helped me out a lot. So I was doing that every week. I was in front of a college, audience, so not my age group. So I had to make it interesting for them. So I credit a lot of me growing as a comedian up to doing that room, because not my, I'm 40. So me trying to relate to a bunch of 19, 20, well, 19, so 21-year-olds at least.
Probably 19.
Yeah. 21-year-old people at least, trying to make them laugh and relate to them. That helped me out a lot with getting better at what I'm doing. Cause you got to find, comedy's, it's a weird kind of, a primal thing, standing up in front of an audience. It's it's very bare bones. It's a very something that we all can relate to as human beings. It's kind of a way of storytelling, and so it's not something sometimes you just think of it as a guy or a person up there telling jokes, but then it's interesting to think about it this has been happening for thousands of years, storytelling and the art of that and how to relate to people. And yeah, it's a great. I love it. It's a great art. I mean, it's not really an art form, I guess you could,
I
but
don't
it
think
can
so.
be. Let's see. Yeah.
I was always fascinated when, like, you guys, do you guys have like a name or a collective or, uh,
Yeah,
let's get that out there.
yeah. So we had a bunch of people that we would work with. So like Will Green and Aaron Willows, they run Bango's food truck. So definitely shout out to them. They're great. I love those guys. Those guys
Yeah.
are really cool. Michigan Comedy Co-op was something that we did. We would put together some shows. Since the pandemic, since started back up since the pandemic, they've been kind of more focused on like Bangos and that
Yeah.
pursuit. But yeah, I'm always kind of looking at uh, because we're not unionized, so and it's just got a bunch of people scattered. So I'm always trying to look at um, how do we unite artists and especially specifically comedians because I mean to be honest, it's harder than than singing. And it's not just I've talked to singers and like they're like, yeah, I don't know how you do that, but it's easier to keep someone's attention when you're playing music, right? So like you don't have to have laughs and keep their attention, and so it's how do we like unite everybody so that we're all bringing each other up rather than like sometimes it can seem like we're all after each other's you know
Yeah.
spots, um but the Michigan community is great. There's a lot of great people. It's a pretty small community of people that are working comedians. They get paid to do it, and so we kind of all know each other. A lot of great people. So it's
Yeah.
just one of the things where I've always kind of toyed with that. Like I have seen some collectives like kind of launch their own like crypto, which is interesting. How does that work? I don't know. I know you're well versed in that, but like that's one thing is how can we that's one thing I want to do as I get older and kind of use kind of the experience that I have is like how can we bring everybody together and how can we all benefit from our art and creating those kinds of because a joke is it can be stolen. How do we and we don't want that. How do we how can we monetize some of this stuff because it's very um a lot of times when you're just starting out, you're not getting paid anything. You get paid in like drink tickets and stuff, and like you can't pay your mortgage with drink tickets, So like, how can we all like use our energy and our creativity to like make everybody else succeed? So that's kind of what I come at this from. Too is that's kind of always been how do I make a project that's gonna help everybody. So
Yeah.
that's one of the
I,
things too.
I want to loop back a little bit and then
Yeah,
we'll come to this thing or what you just said there about helping everybody. When you kind of compared like the singer and the comedian,
yeah,
it also was taking me back to something else you said. It's super tough. It is an art form.
yeah,
And you guys taught me because I've never had seen, comedy, the same comics kind of month after month.
yeah.
And so I'd watch you guys evolve and test your jokes in different ways, but it always kind of surprised me, but I understood it pretty quickly that you could tell the same joke to a different crowd
I
and
know.
it will just not work at all
I
or it
know.
will be great.
I
And
know.
that's got to be so hard.
Yeah, it's like it's that's one of the things I like about it is because I like the problem solving aspect of it too because there's nothing more you're not feeling any more alive than you are just on stage without playing an instrument, just sitting there trying to relate to people in and trying to make this funny. And like you're right, like you can tell a joke that you've told 100 times and it's been great and like everyone it gets a good reception and then there's always just going to be this 101st time you never know what's going to happen because it's happened and it's like how is this not working like this is like and then it's up to you to kind of like what do you do with that? Does that shake you or you just roll with it and you make fun of that because it's one of those things where like as I'm getting more and more experience under my belt like it's not so much I've got this script that I'm going to say. It's like, how am I going to relate to these people in this room right now. And that's a really cool thing about like being in the moment and being mindful, and like there's so many things going on. You have to pay attention to, like, if you're in a club, like, did somebody just drop a drink, trade drinks? Did someone get up to use the like, you got to pay attention to all these things. And it's something that's really cool because you have to adapt to what you're doing. Whereas like sometimes when you're a singer, you're going to start this 4-minute song. Somebody might get up and leave, but you're not getting interrupted. Probably. There's not somebody that's drunk gonna throw a beer bottle at your head, which has happened. So like, I mean, yeah.
And then you had to defend him the next day.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Here's my card, but that's a dragging him out of the club. Yeah. Yep.
As you were talking about that, improvising on stage and having to be ready for everything. And somebody could have come into the show right then and thought we were talking about the courtroom, though. Those are
right.
skills,
That's
right?
True. That's really true. Like, the skills, there's a lot of skills that really carry over. Like when you're talking to a jury, you're making an argument on behalf of your client. There are some lawyers that are just like very by the book and very rote memorization of what they have. I don't think those are the people that are very successful, because if you have to learn to adapt to your audience. And if someone's like in the jury box and they're like crossing their arms, well, you're probably you lost them. So how are you gonna get them back? And yeah, I've definitely used humor in the courtroom too. And yeah, just kind of, I'm a guy in a suit, but then like disarming myself, like how do I make sure that I'm relating to them? Because if they're not going to relate to them, then they're probably not going to relate to my client, So there's a lot of skills that have a lot of carryover with this, and yeah, and it's cool. I in the creative process of it too. So there's like two parts of it. There's like, sitting in your in your room writing things, and then the performing part of it too. So how do you make those two things? What's funny on paper? How do you make sure that that's funny, in real life when it's coming out of your mouth in front of a live audience?
Without ever hearing one of the jokes, when the guys would come here and write on Sunday mornings and all three of them would laugh, that would just make me laugh.
Yeah.
Or however many were here at the time.
Right.
So you said something earlier about, doing good for people, I think is what you said. What people and what good?
I think, the collective, like, humanity, like all of us, things are so serious in life. And how do we make it more bearable, and also kind of like these structures and things that we have that have been created before we've come along. Like, how do we make them, not as intimidating, or not, kind of, we're all at the same level, right? I mean, you always hear that we put our pants on or whatever, we put our clothes on at the same, and then that's really true. I mean, some of these things, these titles, these names, they don't mean anything. They're completely meaningless. We're all just human beings on this planet, and how can we relate to each other, and how can we help somebody get through something, or how do we bring light to a certain topic? Like part of as I've gotten better at kind of the evolution of me as a comedian, which is kind of like other people, is like you talk about yourself first, like, from my perspective, my life, you can always write that. There's all kinds of things. And then as you kind of learn and you grow, like, how can I talk about the world around me and such, so that other people are going to talk about, learn from some of these things too, and laugh at the same time. Like I have a joke about circumcision. Like, I just think that's a weird thing. I think it's a very weird thing that we do, and we don't talk about it a lot. And so I just looked at that when we had our son, and I just like, this is crazy to me. Why are we doing this? And that's like one of my, that's like a pretty big chunk of my set now, is just, and then other things too. Like, but these topics that, how do you make people think about things that maybe we haven't really thought about before? And humor is a great way to do that, because we all like to laugh. Everybody, I haven't met one person that doesn't like to laugh. Everybody likes to do it. Teach us how to write a joke. Yeah. So you've got a first thing, it's like 3 different parts. So you've got a premise, which is like an idea. Well, let's say 4 things. There's a premise, which is like an idea. So you've got like the idea that you want to talk about, which is like circumcision, let's say. Right. So then, like with any kind of writing, you've got subtext. So usually the subtext is a good joke. It has a subtext underneath it that you don't really say, right? So the subtext with my circumcision joke is like, this is a crazy thing, and we probably shouldn't be doing it when we care about everyone's rights. And like, so babies have rights, so let's give them, we should care about them. That's kind of the subtext of it. And so the setup is kind of the part of the joke where it's the straight part of it. You're stating a fact, and then you have the punchline, which is you take and you destroy the assumption that you made in the setup. So the circumcision joke, that one of the jokes that I do is in the Jewish tradition, the moil, who's the guy that does the circumcision, there's no set rate for doing a circumcision. That's the setup, and then the punchline is they just work for tips. And so that's a really quick how you put a joke together. Like you got these 4 kind of things that you have, these different pieces, and once you kind of learn what the different pieces are, you can kind of adapt it to whatever you want to talk about, really.
They do this weird thing, or they did with my son, where they let you in the room,
right,
for that, and so you watch it, and then they say, "Do you want to keep it?" And I kept it, for my son, and you know what? He didn't freaking want it, man. He wanted nothing to do with it. He turns 18, and I want to give it to him. Yeah. And he's like, get that the fuck away.
Here you go. Here's this little thing. Take it. Yeah. It's a wild thing.
Well, thanks for the little lesson there.
Yeah. No, for sure. Yep. I love it. I'm always reading about it, different ways, how different people do it. I often will transcribe other people's jokes, not to like steal it, but I like to see, like, some of my favorite comedians, I will listen to their album. I'll transcribe it because I want to see what they're doing, how they're doing it, and kind of learn in that way too. And then trying to not copy it, but like what are they doing with this joke? How are they getting these laughs? What's the setup? What's the punchline? How are they getting there? What's the subtext? Like stuff like that. So yeah.
So like in logic, there's a syntax for if, then, else, all this other stuff. And you can take a paragraph and break it down in logical argument. Is there a syntax or something like that for comedy? Yeah,
kind of same thing where you could, like if we had a transcription of a famous comedian's joke, we could highlight different parts of it and we can see what makes that joke funny. And you'd be able to see like within, and then metrics too. Like some people will talk about laughs per minute in comedy, which is I like the idea of how do we quantify things, because it gives us something, because it can be subjective. Comedy, we talked about that, and how like some people may think something's funny and something's not, but you can look at laughs per minute and see how many laughs per minute someone is getting based on how many jokes they're telling. So and usually the really good comedians, they can get higher laughs per minute than people just starting out. So yeah, you could do that. We could look at any kind of comedian's joke and Richard Pryor and look at here's the premise, here's the setup, here's the punchline, and then here's a tag, which is like you're using the setup but then telling a different joke than you did from the punchline. So you're relating back to that original setup, kind of a thing. So yeah, you can
comedians do often do that at the end of the show, back to something they said in the middle or the beginning.
Yep. Yeah, that's like a callback. Yep. So that's another term. Yeah. Do a callback.
All right. So let's try. How can people start following you right now?
Oh yeah.
To get ready for the release, what's the best way?
Yeah, so I'm on everything at comedian at law. So either on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. If you go to my Instagram at comedian at law, it'll have a link to some of my other links. So it's got a bio link where you can kind of check out everything that I'm doing.
So that's comedian, then the word at, then the word law.
Yeah. Yep. Comedian at law, like no spaces in that. So.
All right, got it.
Yep.
All right, so I didn't know what question to ask you at the end of the show, and I didn't prep you for this.
No problem.
Will Smith or Chris Rock? No, I'm just kidding. We don't need to talk. Somebody wants to be.
Yeah, if you want to talk. Yeah.
No, I don't really want to. I don't think. Yeah, I don't want to. Someone wants to be a comedian. They're hilarious at home in front of their 3-year-old. They go out to open mic and get just slaughtered. Yep. Should they keep doing it?
Absolutely. Yep. It's not gonna you either have like you're either at your first open mic you crush and you do amazing, or you do like that what you described. It's usually not in the middle, and everyone has those stories. And it's just about, sometimes it's that, be kind to yourself. And that's kind of something I'm learning more, is like, if it's something you like to do and you're putting in the work, just be really kind to yourself and give yourself permission to fail, because that's how you learn. Like, we don't really learn by going out there and crushing, like you're in destroying this audience. Like, you're not really learning anything from that. When you learn is like when you have just like a really difficult set, or you're struggling, or I had to do 20 minutes of absolutely clean material over the weekend, and I did it to challenge myself, and like I survived. I didn't do as well as somebody that just does all clean material, because that's not really my thing. I don't know. I want to be able to say whatever I want to say. I'm not filthy dirty, but like I just like the freedom of being able to say something, and not being told what to do. That's kind of part of my personality, is like, don't tell me what to do, because I'm going to totally do that. So, yeah.
In a totally clean joke, can you say they work for tips?
Yeah, I guess I could. I'm going to try that next time, because some people's definition of clean is completely different. I learned that. Like, some people talk about a lot of, innuendo, even though it's clean, quote unquote. So, yeah.
So, anything else you want to talk about, or you think of anything we forgot?
No, just, April 30th at the Robin, there's, the first show sold out, so that's at 8, and then we're doing a second show at 10, and then we're just gonna hang out and party afterwards. So it's gonna be a good time.
All right, April 30th at the Robin Theater. Check it out. You can find that online probably pretty easily by going to the Robin Theater's booking.
Yep. Or there's a link on my social at Comedian at Law. Yep.
All right, so I got to double check, make sure I'm following you on TikTok, but I think I am. I'm pretty sure.
Cool.
I am.
Yeah, I think you are. Yep.
All right, so thanks for making us all laugh.
Yeah.
We really do need it. And I think comedians are an important part of the overall kind of spectrum of art. So thanks for making our culture better.
Well, thank you, Jerry. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate what you're doing.
All right, everyone. That's a wrap for Every Damn Day. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Love y'all. Have a funny day.